Welcome back to the Crypto Corner here on Schwab Network. I'm Jenny Horne. From Bitcoin to XRP and beyond, let's get caught up on all things cryptocurrency. Joining us now is Adam Lynch from the Schwab Equity Research Department. And Adam, we're looking at Bitcoin breaking above 95,000 this week, up roughly 15% in the month of April, actually. How significant is this uptrend?
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Appreciate you bringing me back on and asking these great questions. It has been a phenomenal month for Bitcoin. The last 30 days or so since Liberation Day, right, on April 2nd, we've seen Bitcoin up about 15%, while the S&P 500 or the XLK, the technology sector, are down somewhere around 1 to 2%. Last week, I heard somebody talking about this asset in a pretty unique way. And they made the point that in risk on or sort of growth environments, we often see Bitcoin trade like a tech stock. And we've seen it over time, over the last 5 years, it generally does trade like that. However, when there is sources of very significant market stress, like we've seen over the last 30 days, we have seen some strength where other assets are dropping, but Bitcoin tends to kind of hold its ground. It's done it now over the last month. It did it back in the spring of 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. And we also saw similar behavior during the SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank collapse in 2023. So I'm starting to think that while I don't really get on board with the full kind of digital gold narrative, I think what we're seeing here is maybe a unique and a unique asset that trades in different ways depending on the market environment.
Yeah, and I think really well said and a great way to depict some of the recent price activity we've seen really in Bitcoin and crypto. And also one story we've been monitoring is these states looking to create Bitcoin reserves. It does seem like Arizona is getting close and definitely making good progress. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, they have definitely taken the pole position this week as the front runner in terms of establishing one of these state reserves. So this has been a very interesting topic ever since President Trump made public the plans for a strategic, U.S. Bitcoin digital asset stockpile. His announcement sparked all sorts of activity across the country in a handful of different states. Just this week, Arizona became the first one to actually pass legislation through both their House and Senate. So again, that really does make them the front runner. There are other states out there like Texas, New Hampshire, among some others, who are looking to do this. So I would imagine we'll see some more activity here. Arizona has argued that this reserve would help diversify their state's assets, help hedge against inflation, and prepare for a financial future which is more based on blockchain technology. However, right now, it seems pretty unlikely to make it all the way through. It faces a pretty uncertain future on the governor's desk. Katie Hobbs is a Democratic governor from the state of Arizona. She's claimed that she will veto every bill that the Republican-controlled legislature passes until they address some more important issues in her estimation. So I think we just got to stay tuned there and see where this goes.
Absolutely, and important as we know, it's all relative because this space is of the utmost importance to so many that follow. And also to speak to that, we have seen now more interest and definitely just more crypto ETFs flood the market, including XRP. So what should we be watching now in the months ahead regarding these ETFs?
Yeah, I think we're just going to see more and more activity here. So this section of the market seems to change daily. I mean, we've had changes. We've had an announcement on Monday with an expectation of something happening today. And then yesterday, it got all thrown up in the wind. So it's a really interesting spot where things are just continuing to change. On Monday, Ripple XRP spiked 3% on news that the SEC had greenlit some of these futures ETFs for XRP that were going to be launched by a company called ProShares. ProShares, though, announced yesterday that that's not happening today, which was somewhat expected. So we'll see where that one goes. In terms of spot ETFs, the SEC actually was supposed to make a decision this week in terms of spot ETFs for XRP, Ripple, and the Doge cryptocurrency. But they stated they need a delay. It is delayed now until I believe it's mid-June. And then at that point, the SEC also has the opportunity to request another 45 to 90 day delay that is expected. And what I'm hearing is that most analysts expect this decision on the spot ETFs to be made sometime in November, December. So that would cause even more things to be launched. Right now, the window's open a lot more on the futures-based ETFs than these spot-based ETFs, but I think we're going to just see more and more of these coming. I mean, in theory, the market for these products is almost unlimited. There are multiple cryptocurrencies out there. There are lots of different products that people can build based on them. I had mentioned the ProShares XRP. They've got an ultra short, a 2x short, right? There's all sorts of these leverage products that people can create. So as long as there's demand from the market, I think we're just going to see more and more products launched to help meet that demand in this very exciting, growing, but volatile market.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Exciting and volatile, and definitely that appetite for these various products as we see every time one is launched. I see it all over my headlines. So definitely worth paying attention to. And we so appreciate you for bringing all of the clarity to right now a very, again, volatile market. We appreciate it, Adam Lynch. That'll do it for this week's episode of Crypto Corner. For more on all things crypto, be sure to like and subscribe to Schwab Network's YouTube channel. I'm Jenny Horne. Thanks for watching.